Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance, and this is a Bishop, the Tier 5 British SPG, and it's on the south spawn of Fiery Salient. Now the reason we're covering the Bishop today, and this Bishop is mine, is because somebody asked recently on What Arty Noobs, how good is the Bishop? Because they're just starting out in Arty and they wanted to find out how good this particular Arty can be. Well, you're about to find out in this battle. But before the battle starts, I thought you might like to know a few facts about the Bishop. When they first made them on the hull of a Valentine. You can see the shape of a Valentine hull at the bottom. And they built a superstructure around a big 25-pounder. But the gun you'll find that's actually mounted as the stock gun is the 25-pounder. But Wargaming has actually fitted a 4.5 quick firing gun or howitzer on the as the top gun, and it's much more effective than the 25-pounder that they saw during the war. Now, as you can see, the one thing that the Valentine has is it has a very tight enclosed superstructure area, and that is one of the weak points of this particular Arty. The other weak point is actually the engine deck or the engine casing at the rear. And that's where they used to put the shells when they were getting ready to fire, because they would open up the hatches at the back and load the gun and shoot it, and they'd put the spare rounds on the engine deck. But the engine deck's very weak armour, and so's the superstructure around the gun. But the good thing about the Bishop is that it does have a very strong... The Bishop has a very strong hull. The Valentine hull is incredibly strong, and most enemy tanks, when they auto-aim, will aim at the hull, which is the strongest part. If you'd aim at the superstructure, which is the weak part, the shells will go straight through. Or if you aim at the rear, at that corrugated section, the shells will go straight through and damage the engine. And that fuel tank, which is right on the side of the vehicle as well. But anyway, enough of that, enough of my talking about the Bishop. Let's have a look at the action that's in this battle. And as I said, this is my Bishop, and we're in a battle on Fiery Salient, and the action has just got underway because this was before I had the good computer, and it took me a while to load into the game. So without further ado, let's see the action start. Okay. And I'm still loading into the game, I think. Yep. Still waiting for my computer to load, and I'm moving forward. Now, the one thing about the Bishop, it's got a very, very, very short range, I'm afraid. Much shorter than most of the other Artys, which means you have to get a bit closer to the enemy to do damage. But it has got a very good trajectory. Now, I hold back to let that DW2 through, because he's a bit heavy and I want him up on the hill. And we see the first targets, a T67 and an ST-Viz-39. Now, ST-Viz-39, that's Stredny 39, that's a Czech tank. And I actually found out the other day that Stredny means medium in Czech. So it's actually a medium 39 tank. And it is a medium. And he's taken out by the STRV-42, the Stritzon 42. Now that T-67 is too far away from me to fire, but I move a bit closer, fire around in, and I miss, but the Covenanter traps the T-67 in place by tracking him, by ramming him, and I load and I shoot, and my round goes in and takes out the T-67. So that's my first kill thanks to the Covenanter. He died to do it, but he gave me the kill. Okay, so I'm moving closer to the cap. Now this is an encounter battle, so we're expecting the enemy to go into the cap. Now if our team have the hill, I should be able to lay accurate shells on the enemy whilst they're in the cap. Now there's an enemy, Panzer 38NA. He's in the cap, but so is some of our forces. We've got an A20 in, I wipe out the Panzer 38NA with my first shot into the cap. Now I'm indicating the DW2 on the enemy's side. Looks like he's going to try and go behind that house, or is he hunting? No, he's hunting. Round out, lands between the buildings. There's another DW2. They've got two in the cap. Two enemies in the cap, and they're hunting our guy. It's an A20, in fact a pair of A20. I shoot at the DW2, round goes over the top of him. Continue to indicate the target. Almost loaded. Line up a shot on him. Round out. And a direct hit, but he's taken out. In fact, actually, I take him out after that, directly after that. It was my shot that actually got the kill. But we've got a KV-1 up on the hill. Now he's a threat to our guys. He's shooting into the cap. So he's going to try and take out our cappers. Round out. Direct hit. There was no explosion, but the tracer disappeared, so we know we hit him. Now I'm presuming he's still there. So I'm going to fire another round into that direct position. And that goes in. So he's still there. We can still see tracers heading in that direction. So I'm presuming he's still there. And the next round's out. And there's an explosion, so he's moved away. Okay, we know that there's still an enemy in the cap, DW2. I've taken out one of them. I fire around at that house to try and destroy it. Fire at the middle of the house, that's where the join is. Yep, the DW2 moved. He obviously saw half the building disappear and thought, oh, I'm out of there. So I line up a shot on him. He's between the house and unfortunately just missed there. Still indicating target. If he pulls behind that house again, I'll knock it down. Rounds out. Now I've got 19 rounds of ammunition. You don't get a huge amount in the Bishop. So you have to be careful not to waste all of your ammo. Now the rest of that building went down. And the DW2 can't be seen, so I think he's behind that building. I fire a round into it, but no joy. Okay, AMX-40 and a M7. I can see those off to one side, so I line up a shot on the AMX-40. And it lands next to him because he maneuvers at the last second. So I go for the M7. It's a medium tank, I can get more hit points off him. But the TW is sitting on top of the railway line like an idiot. Round out. And he's taken out. Very silly thing to do. He just made himself a very easy target. The M7 is tracked. Indicate target. Rounds out. And he's killed before my shell arrives. That's a pity because I could have done with that kill. I'm up to 4 now. Okay, KV-1's moved down into the cap with the DW2. Round out on the KV-1. Direct hit, 108. I'm indicating target. He's not tracked. I'm in 2 minds to go for the DW2. He's got lighter armour. Another shot on the KV-1. I thought he was going to back away, but he actually pulled forward. Line up another shot on him. Now he's backing away. Round out. Explosion, so he wasn't there. Now I need eyes on target. I put a message in chat saying spot. I need to know where the enemy is. There's the DW2, engine deck. Take him out. 13 hit points. That's another kill in the cab. 2 in total so far. KV-1 in the cap. He's rear end onto me. Lovely shot. Tracks him. He's held in position. He must be taking... He's taking masses of damage from either side. Being hit from all directions. Rounds out. And this time I wipe him out. So that's my 3rd kill in the cap. And my Top Gun. Or is it? The game's over. Now let's have a look and see what actually happened. And it's a first-class tanker for general disturbance in the Bishop. Not an ace, but it was a pretty good battle all the same. And I got a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, I got 12. And I picked up an unusual medal. I picked up a Langlade because you see, when I took out the DW2, that was the 3rd tank in the cap, and I actually got the 4th tank, was the KV-1. So what I didn't realise at the time was I'd taken out 4 tanks in the cap whilst they were capping, which is a Langlade's medal. You don't have to pick them off while they're all capping at the same time, but if you pick off 4 tanks whilst they're capping, that's the Langlades. I also picked up a high caliber for getting the most damage and a Top Gun for getting at least 6 kills. In fact, I did get 6. If we look at the team scores, I did damage of 1,248 hit points. I got the highest number of kills with 6, and I got the 2nd highest XP with 843. I was topped out by the Sherman, who did more damage. or did got some better hits on the higher tier enemy. I fired 23 rounds. I got 10 direct hits, 10 penetrations. Shows how accurate the bishop is. It is very accurate when dialed in. I got splash damage of 3. I did damage of 1,248 hit points, of which 1,173 were at more than 300 meters. I hit 7 of the enemy, killed 6 of them. I did damage assistance of 289 hit points, and I stopped 17 capture points, so that's 17 defense points. On a premium account, I earned 28,557 credits, and after ammunition resupply, which is very cheap, I took away 22,807 credits. I earned XP of 1,265, but it was ×2 for the first victory of the day, so I took away 2,530 XP in total. So I think you can see from this battle, the bishop is incredibly accurate. Once you've got vents, 100% crew, and a GLD and a rammer, you can pump in shells very, very accurately on the enemy, and it does aim very quickly as well, so it's very handy at getting at enemy when they're trying to cap, especially when they're trying to cap. So if you're playing in a bishop, you know, and it's an encounter game, do try to hit the enemy in the cap, because you'll pick up loads of points. If, on the other hand, you are defending a cap, always try and take out the bishop, because the bishop and the FB304 are the two tanks, that two Arty, that can definitely reset the cap, because they can fire in shells very accurately to take out the capping members. So if you enjoyed this replay, please do give it a like and do subscribe to our channel, and hopefully I'll be watching you in the next replay.